Hello. Good morning, church. I'd like to draw your attention to a program we tried to organize in 2 weeks called Traveler's Tales. We had this program going in the past by Greg Lippman, and we're trying to resurrect this back again. This thing being advertised on the e-news, and it's a social program for Saturday night on the Saturday 27th of April. So that's about 2 weeks away. Now, those who would like to participate, put some little program with the slides and share your experiences, please contact me by the end of this coming week, because I have to organize all together, okay? So it's a PowerPoint presentation, up to 15 minutes together. It's going to be good night. There's a number of people already interested. They volunteered themselves. I'd like to see more coming from Hull. It's going to be organized in the Ian Lovell Hall, and it's going to be a good evening. It's going to be at 6:30 till 9:30 at night on Saturday night, 27th. Apart from that, everyone is invited to come, families with children, and enjoy these slides. Now, they're going to be from Terra della Fuega to Spitsbergen. I guess they will cover the number of continents where people travel. So it should be good. So please put your stuff on the memory stick and bring it over to program so we can actually share together. But please contact me by the end of this week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. And if you don't know how to get hold of John, just send a message on the web page, and the pastoral team will point you in that direction. Now, we've got a couple of other announcements, and welcome, happy Sabbath to everybody. Before we go into those announcements, I just want to do a little exercise. I had a great day today. You know those days where you find some money in your pocket? Mine is really clean because my jeans just came out of the wash. And I was like, this is a great day when you find a bit of cash in your pocket. So I wanted to pay it forward. But before I do that, I want you to consider that this morning we're going to do an exercise on self-awareness. So pay attention to your thought pattern while we do this little exercise. So who wants I'm paying it forward. So, in fact, there's two lots of money. I should check my pockets more often. Who wants this? It's a gift. Anybody? Any takers? Come take it over here. So now, well, I've got this one. Does anybody want this one? All right, come grab it. So what I want you to do is I want you to hear the voices in your head. The first time I showed the money, the voice would be something like this. Now, is there a catch? I don't think he's for real. Are they going to make a fool of me if I go up and get the money? I just feel awkward. There's some language that would have gone in your head. Or you would have gone like, I'm surprised Jesse didn't come bailing me down. He must be not here because I'm surprised he didn't tackle me. You'll have a different voice in your head. If that voice is, now let me ask you a question. Is this church your home? Is this the church you call home? Or is this the place when you think, when I go to Sabbath, I've got a mate and they go to Springwood and that's my spiritual home? If I make that statement and you have that same awkward feeling like when I offered you that first gift, yes, it is, but, or I would like it to be, but there's this thing, and I can't actually quantify it in words what that thing is, then that's the lack of connection. And we want to fix that. We want to make this family inclusive, loving, and well-connected. And so to do that, it's a teamship. So we can bring services to you, but you need to plug into those services so there's a collective teamship working together. And to do that, we've got a couple of exciting things coming up. On Friday, if you fall into the youth department, young adults department, if you fall into the young adults department, there's an oasis in the Arvel Level Hall. It's at 6:30. There's snacks and all young type related activities, so come along to that. If you are coming to Sabbath on the 20th, there's food. And there's no better place for connection outside of food. So potluck. So bring your food along with you, and we would like to share it. Now, if you listen to that internal voice, there's potluck, so am I going to be isolated? Am I not going to have a friend? If you don't have somebody to stand next to you eating your potluck, look for me after church, and I will happily stand with you and eat my potluck with you. And we have a team of greeters that are equally as excited to sit with you. If I'm not old enough, I know Reg, and he's at the top of the pecking order in terms of age. And if you want younger, I can hook you up with the Jessies and right down to, we'll find somebody. So whatever group you want to fall into, we'll find somebody to do life with you. Next we've got a fun activity that I need to work myself into. So it's bowling for men on the 21st. There is an issue of reservations. So if you all know Reese, stick your hand up. He's the man to see. Again, if you go home today and go, I really want to go to that men's thing, but I didn't get Reese's details, you go online, you fill in the form, and somebody will get back to you and point you to Reese. Or you take a snapshot of that, or I think it's on the newsletter as well. So connection. Remember, we can bring part of the connection, but you need to connect in. So if you're a man and you're thinking, I don't know how to make Springwood my church, I don't know how to fully connect, bowling is a great activity. Next, we have the connection lunch. Now, if any time during my talk this morning you went, geez, I do have that sensation that this is my home, but I've got a but, or I've got a feeling, or I've got a, then this is the lunch for you. And it's a lunch put on by the church to be very intentional. It's to find out what it is we need. What hurdles do we need to move for you to become fully connected in this church? What is the hurdles we need to move for you to answer that but question, or to explain that feeling away, or to make that connection, or find that friend, or find that home group, or that Sabbath school class, or whatever it is that's not making you fully connected? This is the place to fix it. But like all things, the kitchen back there does a great job, but it needs to know how many people are coming. So today, if you see me after church, you say, Rodney, I need 2 seats. I will put you down for 2 seats. Rodney, I need 10 seats. I just need to know an idea so that we can prepare the food. So it's all prepared. All you need to do is come along and ask your questions and enjoy a day of connection and understanding. Again, you can follow that QR code on the newsletter, and it will take you to electronic form if you want to fill in electronically, or again, you can just tell me straight away. Thank you. Enjoy your Sabbath.
Welcome. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Captain Mark Passfield. It's my pleasure to welcome aboard our flight today to... Oh, wrong welcome page, sorry. So it is actually my absolute pleasure to welcome you to Springwood Church today. Welcome to our frequent flyers. Welcome to our one-time guests, and also welcome to our online viewers. One of the absolute great pleasures of being here this morning is it's the first time to table the reading for the transfer of Clint Cherry's membership from Pine Rivers to Springwood. If anybody wants to talk to the pastoral team about the transfer, you have just this week to do it, because next week we'll actually be voting on that the membership transfer. Now, we typically ask you to talk to the pastoral team if you have an issue. I want to encourage you to go and talk to the pastoral team about all the positive things you can think about to Clint today. Now, last week we had Jesse introducing our new series. It's called LAVISH, living. I don't know. You try and say that 10 times fast. I don't know. LAVISH, living lavishly. Now, the sub-theme of that was lavish generosity. And Jesse spoke around the parable of the talents and from Matthew 25, and he talked about the fact that it wasn't about money. It was about bringing of or giving of yourself, and giving of those skill sets that you have and those talents that you have. As a point of difference this week, we're definitely talking about money. So Jesse also said that we're not a church that believes in giving and then for expecting sevenfold return. And also, although this is not to say that God does not bless us when we give, he actually can use money and our giving to build our faith and our witness and our willingness to serve God. So I just have 1 minute, sorry, stay with me for 2 secs. Just have 1 minute now to share with you a personal testimony in this area of lavish generosity. And we had a friend. He was working overseas when he had an accident, and he had to be airlifted back to Australia. He then spent quite a number of months in hospital, in rehab. And at that point in time, unfortunately, insurance found a great way to not pay out. So they didn't have any money, and with his injuries, he didn't have really any immediate future of actually getting a job. So very little money, no work, and the only asset really they had was their car. And at that point in time, the rear window on their car got smashed. They had no way of getting around. Now, I was impressed by God that we should, and we were actually on a very tight budget at the time, but I was pressing by God that we should go and pay for that window. Now, it wasn't a small feat. It was around about $700. It was actually quite a big thing for us at the time. There was a significant decision. So Janine, obviously there was a significant discussion between JP and myself, and whether this is something that we could do or should do in our service. Now, both JP and I agreed that this was a calling from God and therefore a blessing from God, and that we were able to help out in this way. As an additional blessing, and it's amazing how God works, as an additional blessing, it was interesting for us when my next paycheck came in that in the overtime column, the exact same amount of money was there from that for that window. Now, we never budgeted on overtime money, so it didn't affect our budget at all. So like Jesse, I do not believe that we give to get something from God, although I do believe that God can affirm our faith when we follow his calling and live with lavish generosity. So blessings, and once again, welcome to Springwood Church. Thank you.
Okay, now can we all stand up and praise? Good morning, church family. Hope you had a great week. Let's start off the day with worship. All right, as we sing Honey in the Rock. There's honey in the rock, water in the stone, manna on the ground, no matter where I go. I don't need to worry now that I know everything I need you've got. There's honey in the rock. Praying for a miracle, thirsty for the living well. Only you can satisfy. Sweetness at the mercy seat. Now I've tasted, it's not hard to see. Only you can satisfy. There's honey in the rock. 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 Freedom where the Spirit is, bounty in the wilderness. You will only satisfy. There's honey in the rock, water in the stone, manna on the ground, no matter where I go. I don't need to worry now that I know everything I need you've got. There's honey in the rock, purpose in your plan, power in the blood, healing in your hands. You said it is done. Everything you did's enough. I keep looking, I keep finding. You keep giving, you keep providing. I have all that I need. You all that I need. I keep praying, you keep moving. I keep praising, you keep moving. I have all that I need. You all that I need. I have all that I need. You all that I need. Yeah. There's honey in the rock, water in the stone, manna on the ground, no matter where I go. I don't need to worry now that I know everything I need you got. There's honey in the rock, purpose in your plan, power in the blood, and healing in your hands. You said it is done. Jesus, who you was enough. There's honey in the rock. Oh, how sweet it is to trust in you, Jesus. Oh, how sweet it is to trust in you, Jesus. Oh, how sweet it is to trust in you, Jesus. Keep praising with us, church family.
I'll never be more loved than I am right now. Wasn't holding you up, so there's nothing I can do to let you down. Doesn't take a trophy to make you proud. I'll never be more loved than I am right now.
Going through a storm, but I won't go down. I hear your voice carried in the rhythm of the wind to call me more than enough. I don't wanna forget how I feel right now on a mountain top. I can see so clear what it's all about. So stay by my side when the sun goes down. I don't wanna forget how I feel right now. 'Cause you are Jireh, you are enough. Jireh, you are enough. I will be content in every circumstance. You are Jireh, you are enough. Forever enough, always enough, more than enough. Forever enough, always enough, more than enough. I'm already loved, I'm already chosen. I know who I am, I know what you've spoken. I'm already loved, more than I could imagine. And that is enough. Already loved, I'm already chosen. I know who I am, I know what you've spoken. I'm already loved, more than I could imagine. That is enough. I'm already loved, I'm already chosen. I know who I am, I know what you've spoken. I'm already loved, more than I could imagine. And that is enough. Sing Jireh, 'cause you are Jireh, 'cause you are enough. Jireh, you are enough. I will be content in every circumstance. 'Cause you are Jireh, you are enough. Forever enough, always enough, more than enough. Forever enough, always enough, more than enough. 'Cause you are Jireh, you are enough. Jireh, you are enough. And I will be content in every circumstance. 'Cause you are Jireh, you are enough. So beautiful. Keep praising with us. And as we sing our next song, just listen to the words and how God is in our everyday, and how we praise Him every day. It's kind of cool how, yes, we praise in church, but we can praise outside, in the car, in our room, in any space. So I just call you to listen to the lyrics and make that your prayer, and really feel it. God of creation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and The stars are made to worship so alive. I can see your heart in everything you made. Every burning star, a single fire of grace. Creation sings your praises so alive.
can I invite all the little children down the front, please? And big kids if you've got FOMO. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Today I am going to be talking about presents, and I'm going to be teaching about fractions and percentages while I'm at it. So, who here likes presents? Are you sure? Yeah? I love presents too. In fact, my favorite thing, it's actually not, but I love receiving presents. Why not? Especially $20 for free. How good was that? Thanks, Rodney. Great. So who here knows how to count to 10? It's pretty easy, right? I hope. But yeah? Awesome. Well, I'm going to pick a friend. Who do I want to come up? Henry, you look so happy this morning. You can come up, my friend. Today, I am going to give you 10 flowers. Can you count them, please? Is that 10? Does it look like 10? No? All right, maybe count them then. Yep, good, awesome. All right, well, Henry, since I gave you 10 flowers, they're my flowers, just to remind you, can I have one back? Please? Thank you so much, Henry. You're so thoughtful. You know what? That was a very kind thing to do. Now, would you still be happy with the 9? Are you happy with the 9?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Just to clarify. Now, you're happy about giving me one back? Yeah?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Great. Excellent. Well, let's put this one over here. And in fractions, we call this 1/10. And 10% in percentages of the flowers. So that's percentage, that's fractions. Pretty cool stuff. All right, let's get another person. So, Henry, you can go take a seat. You can pass those out if you like, if you're feeling generous. All right. Who would I like to invite up next? Boston, you may come up, my lovely friend. I have 10 pencils. Oh, we've got 2 Bostons. Even better. We'll take both. All right, well, I'm going to give you 10 pencils between the two of you. There you go. You may take the 10 pencils. Now, can I have one back, please? They're my pencils, but can I have one back? Oh, orange. Good colour, good colour. Thank you. I appreciate that. So that is, what's that? Well, that's right, 10% or 1/10 of the pencils. Thank you. You may go sit down and share the pencils with your friends if you like. All right, I need another lovely volunteer. Melanie, you may come up. Melanie, I have 10 fun little Oreo packets and they're all for you. But can I have one back? Yeah? Oh, thank you, Mel. That was really nice. And what is that? What's this? What's this one? 1/10 or 10%. Perfect. Thank you, Melanie. You may share those with your friends if you're feeling generous enough, of course. All right, I need another volunteer. How about you? You can come up the front. All right, I have 10 little fun little lizards and they're all for you. Now, can I have one of those lizards back? Yeah, thank you. And we'll pop it just here on the side. Thank you so very much. Awesome. You may go and share those with your friends. All right. Now where? I need a year 5. All right, David, you can come at the front. David, I've got 10 pieces of homework for you. There you are. Can I have one of them back? Are you happy to give away one?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. That was very kind of you to give back one of your many pieces of homework. You may go share your homework if you like, but David, I know you're quite an ambitious and quite a smart student, so you don't have to give them all away. But, okay. Yeah, that's fine. All right, now where's a big kid? We need a big kid. Who's a responsible big kid? How about Gabby? Gabby, can you come up the front? I have some money. Now, this is all for you. It's my money, but I'm giving it all to you, Gabby. Gabby, can I have just one back? Oh, wow. Generosity at its finest. Maybe not, but but you're welcome to go sit there politely until I come to get it back. All right. So, are there some things that are definitely harder to give back? Gabby, was that a little hard to give back one of those $50 notes? Very hard, yeah. And what about those Oreos? Melanie, was it hard to give me back one of those Oreos? No? Okay, well, you meant to say just a little. Yeah, excellent. That's what I thought. Well, you know what, guys? In the Bible, Leviticus 27:30 says, a tithe of the produce of the land where the grain or fruit belongs to the Lord and is holy. See all these little fun goodies over here? They're all holy, right? Pretty crazy. So God gives us 100%. So if I was God, which I'm not, just clarifying, but I've given you all of what I have. I've given you all of your money. I've given you all of your flowers, your fun little lizards. And if you look over here, we've got all of this little 10%. And is it quite a bit? It's not too much, but it is a little bit, isn't it? Now, in the church, we use our 10% to guess what? To share with others. So it goes into our church and it helps us tell others about God. So I want to just remind you guys today that maybe you don't have lots of money, maybe you don't have lots of toys at home, but in fact, all of those toys, all of the money, all of the things that you have, all of that's actually God. God's actually given that all to you. All of it. And all he asks is for what? What's this? Of all the things we've given out, what's this? 10%. That's all he's asked for. Now, I just want to say a massive thanks for coming down the front. And if you missed out on getting a little colouring sheet, Janine's got a bunch just here if you want to come grab one to learn more about 10%. But yeah, thank you, children. You may go and grab a seat. And can I have that money back, Gabby? Sure.
And as the children head back to their seats, we will actually now provide you, the adults, as an opportunity to give your tithes and offerings. So if I can invite those who have the offering baskets, and welcome to come up and collect. If you'd like to give in cold hard cash, the deacons will take it. They don't often offer change, but you can try. So if you guys want to collect, and I'll keep talking. We've also got the opportunity for the QR code if you've forgotten your wallet and want to give in that way. If you're our guest today, please don't feel obligated to give. The children have just learned about tithe, and we did say we were going to talk about money this week. So I thought I'd take a moment just to think about, well, what is an offering? The dictionary calls it a gift or contribution and describes it as a sacrifice ceremonially offered as part of worship. And so as you think about your offering and what you're willing to sacrifice as part of worship this week is for our local church here at Springwood. And I thought I'd share a few fun facts about how our local church offerings are used. Not sure whether you're aware, our building loan costs $112,000 per year. Our rates and utilities are about $12,000. Our electricity, lights, fans, air conditioners, PowerPoints, etc., microphones, $15,000 per year, which makes my bill look pretty cheap. Insurance on the building's about $30,000, which makes me feel a bit better about the house insurance policy I paid last week. Maintenance is about $30,000. We've got cleaning, gardening, and then we've got the various ministries that we also support with Pathfinders and children's ministries and adventurers and catering for special events and Stormco, youth event sponsorships, unplanned maintenance, or most recently our fire brigade call-out fees. So just for your awareness. I did try and get the specifics about how much we spend on toilet paper, but my sources weren't quite sure. But the number of cubicles, and if we assume one roll per week, and for the number of people we have through. But basically, we spend about $7,000 a week just to keep the doors open. So your money that is given as a sacrifice today as part of worship goes to many good things around this church. Last year's local offerings made about half the money we needed, so extra money was raised through donations, hiring the church and other means. And I believe the deacons have just finished, so if we will bow our heads in a word of prayer. God, we thank you that you are living lavish. You are generous with us with everything, and it is about more than money and our finances. Some of us have money struggles, and other of us are less wise with our spending and lifestyle choices, and others have abundance for the moment. But wherever we're at, we know you love us, you're able to meet our needs, and we know that you want us to live with more than just the knowledge of heaven, but the experience of what it is like to walk with you all the time here on earth, financially rich or poor. We thank you for another chance for us to come together in your house to worship you. I pray that all the tithes and offerings given today are given to you in love. We experience your blessings every day, and your blessings are always given to us freely and with ultimate love. Father, you loved us all the way to the cross. You bless us with 100% of the money we receive. And it is with this recognition that we join together as a community to give some back to you. May we love you enough to give you what is already yours so that we can understand and live fully in your lavish generosity better. Bless these tithes and offerings given with love today. Bless Gabby as she shares with us about what you have placed upon her heart. And may your lavish generosity abound in us and through us. Amen.
Steph, that was so good. I don't know where she's gone now, but Steph, my job's done. I should just pack up and leave. There she is. If this is your first time joining us during this series as a church, we are unpacking a few of our church values. And I'm just curious, I just want to see a show of hands of how many people could list off what our church values are. To be honest, I don't know why my hand's up because I actually couldn't list them. But it's funny because you can find these values listed on our church website, if you didn't know. And there's also a massive wall in our foyer that has them spread right across the wall. So if you use this back entrance from the car park, you walk past it every single week. There is a big, giant wall with all of our church values, what we value as a church, written right across it. It's funny that we can attend a church for years, be actively involved, and yet not have a clue about what we value as a church. And I'm preaching to myself here because I'm really only now beginning to ask the important questions. Like, why do we exist as a church? What is our vision, and what do we truly value? This week marks part 2 of our Living Lavish series. This church value that we're unpacking here is lavish generosity. Last week in the LDC, Jesse kicked it off by talking us through living lavish. How can I help you? How can I use my gifts and my talents to further God's ministry? How can I use them to build God's kingdom, build the church? This week's sermon is titled Living Lavish. Where does my money go? And I'm just going to put a disclaimer out now. This is by no means a message to guilt anyone into giving money to the church. This isn't a pyramid scheme or a plea for funding to put new tires on my car, or to help Pastor Ray live out his preachers and sneakers dream. This is a message to answer the question, why do we even give? And where does my money go? It's a message to explain the biblical principle of tithing and to celebrate the power of generosity. Growing up as a kid, I would sit in the church pews with my parents, and when it came time in the service for the deacons to come and collect the offering, I would see the offering bags come down the aisle, and I would turn to my dad, and he would empty his pockets of all the change and empty his wallet of all the change, and he would spread it. He wouldn't count it. He would just spread it amongst my siblings and I, and that would be our offering for the week. And of course, that would lead to a bunch of arguments between the three of us of who had more money, only to have my mum stare us down because it was all going into the bag anyway. It didn't matter who had the most amount of change in their hand. When I was in high school, my first job I ever had, if you can call it a job, there was a lady at my church, at my local church that I grew up in, who offered to pay me $25 an hour to clean her house. Now, she was very generous. She was also very patient with me because I am a very thorough cleaner, but I'm also the world's slowest cleaner. And I vividly remember taking that first envelope with the cash that I had just earned in it, and I took it home, and I'd only cleaned for 2 hours that day, but I was way too proud about this first envelope with cash in it. And I was waving it around in front of my parents, look what I just earned. Because I knew in that moment, this is the first time that I didn't have to ask or beg my parents for money, or to ask them if I could have tuck shop money, or if I could go out and spend stuff with my friends. It was the first time that I had my own money. I was brought back down to earth real fast when my mum sat me down and told me about tithe. I remember thinking, this is weird, and I'm sad to give up part of the money that I worked real hard for, all 2 hours of it. But still stoked because I still had $45 to spend from the $50. And $45 would actually spread far back then. I can't believe I'm saying back then, but it really did. I remember I would make that spread right through. I remember thinking that if I had above $40 in my pocket, I was set. I was rich. That's what I thought. Of course, that was before I had my license and learned about the rise in fuel cost. $45 does not go very far. But I never understood why I needed to tithe. What was God got to do with my $5? This man can turn water into wine and raise people from the dead, but what would he need my cleaning cash for? In college, I worked 3 jobs on campus. And because I worked for Avondale, they gave me the option to have my tithe taken out of my paycheck straight away. It was taken out automatically and straight into the local church. So it was gone before I even saw my paycheck. And even now, my tithe automatically goes out with each paycheck. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't even miss that 10% because I never saw it to begin with. And it's funny when you think about it, because we can set up an automatic payment on our e-giving app to send out your tithe every week straight away. You can send out your giving straight away, your offering, and you don't even have to think about it. And I'm not bagging out the e-giving app or auto payments because I use them, and I know that I'm bad at management, so I kind of need tools like this. So if it doesn't do it for me, I'll probably forget. So these tools can be really helpful, but it's important that in our giving, whether it's auto or manually giving each week, that we're reminded of why we do it. Because when it's out of sight, it's out of mind. We're not thinking about, why am I giving? Why am I giving my offering this week? We can fall victim to the routine and miss out on the miracle that's taking place. I've heard it say like this, if you want to flick to my next slide. Tithing is birthed out of a heart of gratitude for yesterday, but it flourishes into an act of faith for tomorrow. I'm going to unpack this from our text this morning, and we're going to be sitting in the book of Genesis in chapter 14. And this is one of the earliest pictures that we have in the Bible of this practice called tithing. In fact, this concept is found all throughout the Bible. It's a timeless principle that goes beyond Moses and Abraham and right through to the New Testament of God wanting to bring forth blessing in your life, but he's looking for you to learn to then how to trust him. It's about reminding ourselves who we're thankful for and who our source of life is. And before we read this chapter, it's important that we understand the context of this text, which means we'll have to go back 2 chapters to chapter 12. And in chapter 12, we have Abram. This is Abraham before he was given his new name. Abram, he was 75 years of age, and God made a promise to him. This is in chapter 12. God encounters him and says, I will make you into a great nation. And if you don't know, Abraham is considered the father of our faith. Because it's from his line that the entire Jewish line, the entire Jewish race, God's chosen people in the Bible, comes from. And then Jesus enters the picture in the New Testament. And as we're told in Romans chapter 9, we Gentiles, so anyone who isn't Jewish, are crafted into the family of God because of what Jesus did on that cross. So at 75 years old, God says to Abram, I have this huge plan for you, but it's going to require faith. How do we know? There's 2 things. 1, Abram doesn't have a son, let alone many sons. At 75 years of age, God is making this promise to him and his wife, who is also older. And he was making this promise to them, saying, I'm going to make you the father of many generations. And he doesn't even have a son. He can't even say, okay, well, at least I had that one son. Yeah, like this promise makes sense. But it made no sense. It was illogical. And number 2, Abram was asked to leave his home and to set out to a land that God would show him. So Abraham packs up camp, takes his wife Sarai, all his livestock, his wealth, his household, and his nephew Lot. When we reach chapter 13, and we learn that Lot had his own livestock and wealth. So disputes started to break out between Lot's worksmen and Abram's worksmen, and it was creating an unhealthy environment. And eventually Abraham had to humbly come to Lot and say, for the sake of our own relationship, we need to go separate ways. You can take any land you want, you decide. And if you choose to go right, I'll go left. And if you choose to go left, I'll go right. In chapter 13, it tells us that when Lot looked over the land and he sees this land called Sodom and Gomorrah, and if you know your Bible, you know how that ends up. We learn that in verse 10, it looked pleasing to him because it reminded him of the land of Egypt, which you can read about in the end of chapter 12. But Egypt, it's funny how central this city, this nation was in the Israelite story, because it reminded him of the land of Egypt. He looked at it and it was pleasing to his eye. This place that was a completely different culture, but you know what was different about Egypt was that there was no God. That was the difference. And God was saying, Abram, I am calling you to pick up your camp and set out to a land that I'm going to show you. And so when Abram gives Lot the choice, he looks out and he says, that land there, that land that reminds me of that godless city, that's where I want to be. So he sets up camp right next to Sodom and Gomorrah. This brings us to the beginning of chapter 14, where we're going to be reading today. And so war has broken out in the region. There's this king called King Kedorlaomer. This is the best I'm going to be able to pronounce, and there are a lot of kings' names and nations that I cannot pronounce, so we're just going to tell the story instead of reading it this morning. But this is the first few verses of chapter 14, if you want to read along. But there's this King Chedorlaomer, and a group about 3 other kings with names that I can't pronounce fought against another group about 5 kings that I also cannot pronounce their names. One of them is the king of Sodom. 4 kings against 5. Eventually, King Chedorlaomer and his allies defeat the second group of kings and invade their cities, sending the armies of Sodom and Gomorrah fleeing. They plunder the city, taking the spoils of war and the food supplies, as well as capturing Lot and his family and everything that he owned. One of Lot's men escapes and runs and tells Abram of everything that has happened. And this is the cool part. This is the side of Abraham that we actually don't talk enough about. In verse 14, it reads, "When Abram heard that his nephew Lot had been captured, he mobilized 318 trained men who had been born into his household. Then he pursued Chedorlaomer's army," let's just call him Ked, Ked's army, until he caught up with them at Dan. There he divided his men and attacked during the night. Ked's army fled, but Abram chased them as far as Hobah, north of Damascus. Abram recovered all the goods that had been taken, and he brought back his nephew Lot with his possessions and all the women and other captives. Abraham, a 75-year-old man, hears that his nephew has been taken captive, and this 75-year-old man gathers his troops, 318, which I'm pretty sure would have been way outnumbered compared to some of those armies that they would have had to face to free Lot. And he comes with his 318 men, and he chases after them, and he goes into battle to recover Lot and all of his possessions and all of his household. 75-year-old Abram sweeps in to save the day. Verse 17, after Abram continued from his victory over Ked and all his allies, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh, that is the king's valley. And Melchizedek, the king of Salem and a priest of God Most High, brought Abram some bread and wine. Melchizedek blessed Abram with this blessing: "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth. And blessed be God Most High, who has defeated your enemies for you." Then Abram gave Melchizedek 1/10 of all the goods he had recovered. The king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give back my people who were captured, but you may keep for yourself all the goods that you've recovered." And Abram replied to the king of Sodom, "I solemnly swear to the Lord, God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I will not take so much as a single thread or sandal thong from what belongs to you. Otherwise, you might say, I am the one who made Abram rich." This is a really important interaction here. The king of Sodom tries to offer Abram payment for his kingdom back. But Abram responds with, "I won't take a single thing from you because I don't want you to have the power to tell the world that you made me rich." Because by this time, the Bible has already told us that Abram is a wealthy man. But in this moment, he's acknowledging the source of his providence. He wanted to make sure that everyone knew that the only source of victory and wealth is the Lord. And there's a second king in this story, a king by the name of Melchizedek, the king of Salem, which would eventually, as the Bible tells us, become the nation of Jerusalem, and priest of the God Most High. So he was king of Salem and priest of the God Most High. Now, if you feel like reading up on something interesting and cool, do a bit of research on Melchizedek. His name is mentioned in the Bible 3 times. The first being here in Genesis 14. He shows up again in Psalms chapter 1, verse 10. And we hear the most about him in the New Testament in Hebrews chapter 7. There's an entire chapter dedicated to this guy named Melchizedek. And I'm not going to deep dive into it this morning because, to be honest, I just feel like I have more to learn, and I don't quite feel equipped enough to go there. But there's a lot of really interesting research out there on him. But Melchizedek, in verse 18, It says, "And Melchizedek, the king of Salem and a priest of God Most High, brought Abram some bread and wine." Melchizedek brings out some bread and wine. This is probably one of the first glimpses of the Lord's Supper. This is pre-Moses in Egypt. This is pre the Passover, and it's brought as an offering to bring aid, to bring healing to Abram as he got back from a victory. And we continue in verse 19 where it says, "Melchizedek blessed Abram with this blessing. Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth. And blessed be God Most High, who has defeated your enemies for you." Then Abram gave Melchizedek a tenth of all the goods he had recovered. What he's saying here is that God is the one who delivered you. God is the one who helped you. God is the one who won the victory. You have been delivered by God. You have been blessed by God. And what was the response of Abraham? To give a tenth of all the goods that he had recovered. This is a principle that will show up in the scriptures time and time again. And here Abraham receives a blessing from the Lord, and his response is to say, gratitude is hitting my heart, and with gratitude there's a response, so his response is to then be generous. For reference, this is 400 years before the Mosaic law was introduced. There's no law. There's no one making him do this. This isn't a legal obligation. It's an act of love, of gratitude. He was able to win that victory. He's recognizing that he, at 75 years of age, and only had 318 men, the only reason he was able to win that victory and get back Lot is because of God's providence. And so now he's going to say thank you by saying, I'm giving you a tenth of everything that I have. It's called tithe. I feel we don't get taught this enough. What is tithe? What is tithe? It's the first tenth of what we earn. It isn't an afterthought. It isn't us counting how much we need to pay in the next fortnight, how much we would like to spend over the next fortnight or over the next couple of weeks, and then offering what's left. It's saying, I'm going to give you the first tenth of my money and trust you will carry me in the 90%. It's giving him the first tenth in gratitude for what he did yesterday and also in faith for what he will do tomorrow. It's having faith that he can do more with your 90% than we can do with our 100% all on our own. In 2 Corinthians 9, verse 8, it says, "And God will generously provide all you need. Then you will always have everything you need and plenty left over to share with others." So where does our money go? I get it. It's an important thing to know. Okay, well, if I'm going to trust this money with the church, if I'm going to pay this money, so where is it going? This is actually really cool because we are part of a global church. With over 20 million members in our church worldwide, across over 150,000 congregations, with over 7,000 businesses and institutions providing products and services to our community. Isn't that crazy? To hear those numbers, to see just how far as a church that we have come since the Great Disappointment in 1844. These are astounding numbers. It's astounding to see the way God has moved. And this is the cool thing about it, that your local giving has a global impact. That $5 from my first paycheck had a global impact. Let's say a church of about 500 tithe returning members, I'll re-say that again. Let's say a church of about 500 tithe returning members earn about 100 a week. I'm keeping these numbers really small because, unlike Steph, I'm not great at math, so I can't do anything above this. But let's say, so they're each giving $10 tithe a week. They're earning 100, each giving 10. So that'll be $5,000 a week from this one church. Out of the 52 local offerings collected in a year, I use my calculator for this, that's $260,000 a year in tithe. Half of that, and this is where your money goes, so half of that, that would be $130,000, that would go towards your local church. That's, yes, it's to keep the bills paid and to keep the toilet rolls flowing and to keep the building functioning, but it's also to fund ministries here. That might be Sabbath school, that might be Pathfinders, that might be kids ministries, that might be youth ministries, but it also is community projects. Like this is funding that as a church, we get to decide how can we spread the gospel with this? How can we make an impact in our local community of Springwood? Like this money that we've contributed, like that's what we get to decide happens to it. Oh, that was a weird sentence. Whatever we choose as a church, to use that money to help spread the gospel in our local community, it helps us fund our local mission each year. Now, the other half, the other $130,000, this goes to support ministry beyond our local church. And the key word is ministry. To help grow the mission field in Queensland, in our country, in the South Pacific, and the world. So your tithe, no matter how small or big, goes towards massive evangelism. It goes towards spreading the news of Jesus across the nations. Like you get to contribute to that. We get to be a part of that. So my $5 from my first paycheck did that. $250 went towards my local church, and $250 went towards the global mission. But it's nice to be able to tell someone of my age at the time that, hey, that your money went towards helping people in other countries, or that your money helped go towards ministries run at our local church. And rather than making tithe an awkward topic, I think it's something to rejoice over, that we get to be a part of a worldwide call to ministry. We get to give back to God in gratitude for what He's already done for us and step into faith that He will continue to provide for us tomorrow. I think we're pretty lucky to be a part of something like that. I'm feeling that right now, as I'm going to pray, I'm going to pray over something specific. I'm going to pray over our church and our community. But I want to pray over our wider community, Springwood. Because right now, we are in such a position to make effective change. We're in a position to spread the gospel message to people who may have not encountered this message or may not seen a good picture of church. Maybe they've never actually encountered Jesus before. And our giving gets to contribute to that. But with that comes vision. It comes back to that question, what do we value as a church? It comes back to that question, why do we exist as a church? Why do we exist here? And just like our tithe, I think we can have a grateful heart, a heart full of gratitude for what God has done for us in the past, but step out in faith as a church in our giving, in using our skills and talents, stepping out in faith and just letting God be faithful to us as a community, to our church, and just seeing the way He moves when we give generously. I'm going to pray. God, I just wanted to thank You so much. I want to thank You for this church and this community. I want to thank You that we have been placed here for such a time as this. We are surrounded by houses, businesses. We are surrounded by people, families. We're surrounded by heartbreak and maybe some wholesome family homes. But God, I just want to pray. I want to pray for our church. I want to pray for vision. Because God, with giving, we need to be, there comes a responsibility with that. That as a church, that we're using our finances to further your kingdom. So Lord, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you with a heart full of joy, full of gratitude for how far you've brought our church now. And I just want to ask that you continue to be faithful to us. Lord, I'm so excited, and we're rejoicing as a church this morning to see what you're going to do next. And God, we have willing hearts. We have willing hearts and a willing congregation right now. And we have a community ready to serve. So Lord, I just want to pray for vision. I want to pray for your vision for our church. I want to pray for your direction. I want to pray for your faithfulness. Thank you, Lord, for loving us and for never forsaking for us, for never giving up for us. We love you, Lord. Amen.
So beautiful. Please stand with us as we sing our last song, King of Kings.
There was mercy in your eyes.
thank you, everyone, for coming to church today. It's so good to gather together when we can. If you're wanting prayer or someone to pray over you, we have some seats dedicated to that where we'll have one of our elders come and pray over you. If you're looking for connection in our church, if you love our church but still feeling like you just want to feel more connected, if you want to feel more a part of the community, if you're looking, if this is your first time and you want to get connected, feel free to reach out to Rodney and his team. And have a good week. Happy Sabbath.